here at Colorado's Fall Sports Media Day event in the Touchdown Club, and this is the 71st Media Day that they've had for Fall Sports. It'd be fun to go back and cover that first one and see how things have changed over the years.
Yeah, I would imagine they've changed a little bit. The Touchdown Club wasn't here for first things, but I'm glad I'm not old enough to have had to cover that one, but it would have been fun to be back there and cover. I don't remember what year that was. That would have been a long time ago. In the 50s, I assume. So that would have been pretty fun. I don't even know who was on the team, but that would have been cool.
Not too long ago, Coach Prime was sitting at this table addressing the media for the first time this preseason, first time since Big 12 Media Days, and it's clear that he really likes this football team, and clearly he doesn't like a couple media members around here.
That is clear. Yes, both of those things are very true.
I don't know what more that's the takeaway that people are going to take from this press conference, and Coach Prime is going to let you know how he feels, and he did that today. But to the football side, the defense has clearly lived up to their expectations early on in camp, and that was one of the things I took away from Coach Prime's answers today.
Yeah, I think it was one of the final things he said is that defense is coming along, or maybe he said they're coming. But yeah, the defense, I think they like what they've got there. We've talked about it before, but it starts with defensive line as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know about you, but I had a chance to talk to B.J. Green today. Impressive young man, but a really good player, but really good interview. I told him, I said, I hope you do media this year because you're really good at it. He did a great job. But I think it starts with him. I talked with Chidozie Nwankwo as well. I mean, these are guys that I think they're excited about. And we've heard from Shane Cokes this fall. I think those are the guys. We've talked about it. Those guys are going to make a Shane Cokes better and Amari McNeil better. And so I like all the different pieces they have. And, it's going to make the secondary better. Talking about the whole defense, I mean, Cam Summer and Craig, I chatted with him a little bit. And he said, hey, last year I was thrust into that nickel spot. He goes, I've never played nickel in my life. And now he's back to his comfortable safety spot. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what Cam does back in his – he said he feels better. He's more comfortable. And so I think just all in all, I think the defense on paper going in, to me, looks better than it was last year.
I'm glad you brought up B.J. Green because I had a chance to sit down with him as well, and that's one of the best interviews I've done in a very long time. Just very insightful and thoughtful, and he's in engineering, and so he, between the lines, though, he has got the versatility that's going to be really dangerous. And BJ talked to me about the fact that so many guys having versatility makes it just so difficult for opposing offenses to be able to key on guys. And there's going to be times on third down, passing yard situations where BJ Green's lined up, over the center. And so they have more pieces, bigger pieces, and very versatile pieces this year. And so you talk about, I think it's 8 scholarship defensive linemen on this roster. All 8 of those guys could be in the rotation this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And he reiterated the point that I think it was Vincent Dancy made to us about how, we don't look at ourselves as DNs and defensive linemen. We're all in the same group. BJ reiterated that same thing, saying, hey, we're all interchangeable and we can play in the same spots. And he's excited about that. I mean, I know he expressed that with you as well. It sounds like it, that he's excited about that versatility and just moving around and doing different things. And I've said it from the start that he's the transfer on the defense that I'm most excited about because I think he's such a game changer and helps out this defense from front to back.
And there's not a bunch of a drop-off from that first team D-line to the second team. I was talking to Ryan Staub about it and just saying, what is this like going against this defense every day? Because he's the one that's going primarily against the one defense. How much has that changed? And he said it's been pretty drastic, and so he's challenged. We saw early in camp Trevor Woods disguised a play and got a pick, and so it's great for Ryan Staub and his development, but just hearing from a guy that goes against that defense every day, that it's quite a bit different than what he faced last year.
Yeah, and honestly, Shedeur said it too. He had a comment during his press conference saying the coverage is tighter in practice than it was last year. He's going against the twos a lot of times. And so I think they're deeper at corner as well. And yeah, I mean, this defense, I've said this a lot. I don't expect them to be one of the top defenses in the Big 12. Maybe they'll surprise me in that regard, but I think they're going to be much better than they were last year. They gave up almost 35 points a game. I think they cut at least a touchdown off of that. And if you're only giving up 28 points a game with this offense, I think they can win a lot of football games.
Yeah. Offensively, I really enjoyed sitting down with Hank Zielinskis, and it's such a great story. He was verbally committed to Carl Durrell's staff, sticks around, plays as a true freshman, and they bring in your Kerry Walker, and everybody thinks that's going to be the starting center. And Hank Zielinskis just goes out there and works, and he's developed a really strong chemistry with Shedeur Sanders, and it's kind of cool, local products. I talked to Sam Hart as well, coming back home to the state of Colorado, and so that is the only thing that I would say that's frustrating about not being able to do more one-on-one interviews, is because these guys out here in this room today showed that they've got a lot of character and they're really good with the media.
Yeah, that is one thing that if I could ever deliver a message to Coach Prime that he would listen to, it would be, give us these guys more often, because you got a lot of great people and personalities on this team that we'd love to get to know more and tell their stories. And I'm the same way with you. Like, there's so many guys from Cam, Sim, and Craig today to learning that BJ Green is a really fantastic interview. I talked to the Wester brothers together. They were awesome. I'll have a video that I post at some point, but people have seen Shedeur and Shiloh together. These two are almost the same way. I mean, they're a riot together. Tyler Brown, phenomenal person, who I talked to today, and just there's so many different good personalities that I feel like that's one thing that'd be my one big disappointment, is that we don't get them very often, because I think there's so many great stories to tell, and we could highlight a lot of these guys a little bit more often. But that's my favorite part about this media day. You and I talked about it last year, that in the past, media day was like, okay, it's just another day because we get those guys anytime we want. Well, the last 2 years, it's like, oh no, we need to grab these guys as much as we can. But it's been the best day of fall camp for me both years, because we get so many of those different guys, and you get to have those nice conversations with them. And I like getting them off the football field too, where they're not in pads. I like that they're in polos and you can just sit and talk with them.
Maybe the biggest story to come out of this press conference is the fact that they're going to have an open practice down at All City Stadium in Denver. That's where a lot of the Denver public schools play their football games. It sounds like it's going to be 6:30 next Friday. Don't have all the details yet, but it sounds like that stadium holds about 5,000, and I would imagine that that place is going to be pretty packed.
That's a smart. I love that move. I think it's a brilliant move by CU to do that. It's something that I've wished that CU would do in the past. Something like that. Go to a high school stadium, or it's harder to do this, but go do a scrimmage against another college team. That's harder to do. But I love the idea of them going to a different high school. I hope that that's something. I would love to see that be a tradition at CU, to where maybe there's a spring practice. You go and you play at, I don't know, Jeffco Stadium or something like that. You go do those things. And so I love the idea. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the fans. And I hope that when Coach Prime was inviting people out there, I hope he met us too, because I'm looking forward to seeing a practice as well. I hope that that we get to go see that as well. It'll be fun. I think this is going to be a fun event.
Any other interviews that really stood out to you today?
I'm trying to think all the ones I did, but the Wester brothers were really cool. They're fun guys, and they talked about their competition growing up, but how excited they are to be here. Micah Welch was really good, a quieter kid for sure, but really excited to be here. And he's a guy. We talked about it on signing day, but he's one of my favorite recruits in this class, because I've always been a running back guy, but I love his style, and he's just kind of that no-nonsense, put your head down. Pass protection is something that we hear about the running backs. He says he's doing really well with it. I don't know how the coaches feel he's doing, but he thinks he's doing really well with that. And then Tyler Brown. I always love talking to Tyler Brown, and I haven't really had much of a chance to interview him since I went to the Celebration Bowl and covered. I've chatted with him a few times, but that was my first interview with him since back in Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl, and just an awesome young man. I know Buff fans are too, but I'm super excited for him that he gets to play this year after having to sit out last year, and the guy is so stoked that he gets to play, and so I'm excited for him. How about for you?
Well, Chidozie Nwankwo was great when I talked to him, and he's got a different perspective in life. He's got a daughter who's out here in Boulder visiting him right now, and so you talk to some of these guys that are nearing the end of their college career, like a Will Shepherd, a Chidozie Nwankwo. There is very much kind of a sense of urgency with this team, and another thing that I think that, after talking to these guys a lot today about camaraderie and new pieces and chemistry, it really does fall in line with what Shiloh told you at Big 12 Media Days, that It doesn't take that long. Last year, I think it was more about weeding guys out that maybe were just not cut out for the standard that Coach Prime is building here, and having that extra offseason to kind of weed those guys out. I don't necessarily look back to last season and go, that locker room hated each other, that's why they didn't win. And so I think even though you bring in a lot of new pieces, just hearing the guys talk, this team has really bonded pretty well.
Yeah, that's the impression I get. And I would ask each of these guys, well, how is it in your room? And I love my room, And Michael Welch was one that, like, I asked him, I said, look, you get here in January, you think you're going to compete with Dylan Edwards and Alton McCaskill and guys like that. All of a sudden they're gone. Now you're competing against a whole new group. And he goes, yeah, but the competition's great, and I love the guys in the room. We all get along. And so these are guys that, Mike has been here one of the longest, right? And he just got here in January. But Charlie's been here for a while, but those other guys got here in the summer, and he's like, yeah, we're a tight group, and you hear that from the offensive line, you hear that from the linebackers, and I didn't interview, but I chatted with Levante Bentley for a bit, and he goes, oh, that group is super tight, and that's another group that, like, Johnny Chaney, Nikhil Hill Green, these are guys that just got here in the summer, and so you hear that across the board.
Yeah. Well, it's 10 practices in. We've now got media day in the books, but I mean, this is just the start. We've got a lot of interviews to go through, so we'll cut it off there. But excited to go down to Denver and see that scrimmage next week. We'll be back with more analysis next week.